Well, joining us this morning is the Executive Director of the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. It's Mr. Christian Maher. Christian, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to be seen.
Well,
It's almost over.
It's almost over.
It's almost over. Just in time to start it all again, but
Yeah, but
maybe
what is that? Like we were talking before coming on, and I've been like the last couple of days feeling the same way. It's like I don't know. It's like you almost need to take a step back and get some fresh air. But mentally, it's like when you hit that new year, it just sort of like resets in your mind. Like, okay, fresh start and fresh year, and here we go.
I hope so. Most of the time you want everything to be easy, lemon squeezy. And now it's just like lemon difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you may not want to get into it, but what challenges do you face towards the end of the year?
Right now there's a lot of people who are just doing year-end giving, so like the volume picks up a little bit for people, which is, we should never complain. Oh God, people are giving us money. This is so hard, because really that is not something that we should ever complain about.
Yeah.
We're very grateful. We appreciate it. But it's the kind of thing that, we've got all year, and occasionally people are like, hey, I got to get this done by year end. Can you do this now? And you've got several other things you're trying to do. So it's like, oh no, where am I going to find the time? And then we've got bequests and other things that have come in recently. So, we made $1 million last month. So that was really nice.
Wow. Congrats.
It's a gift from a donor who passed away about a year ago, and this is a partial distribution from their estate. So you've got to do all the things to make sure that money's accounted for, and to make sure that everyone's acknowledged appropriately, and all of those things, making sure that the wills and things are scanned and in the system, that all of the beneficiaries of the funds are notified, all of that kind of fun thing. So it's just more time-consuming things than anything. And, of course, this time of year, everybody wants to take vacation, as do I. I would like for this to be my last day of the year. That is probably unlikely, but I have enough vacation days that I could do it.
So a couple things. One, when I say congratulations, a lot of times that does come off of something maybe that's tragic within somebody's family.
It's not tragic.
But the reality is, this is their legacy is living on through programs and supporting.
Yeah. And so this particular gift was Tom Redmond. Tom was a friend of the foundation for years. They planned their gift about a decade ago. So, he and his wife had a long, healthy life. They did great stuff. And they just wanted to make an impact in the community and on the organizations that they preferred. So, they sat down with their attorney, who was Lisa Youngs, and they talked to their bankers at PNC, and they're like, hey, this is the plan we want to put together. And it has all come together exactly as it was planned. So, these are not things to we mourned him when he passed, but it's really to be celebrated that they did the work, that they made those hard decisions when they were still alive. They didn't push those decisions off to somebody else. They didn't just throw up their hands and say, oh, well, we'll let the government figure it out, and force their estate to go through the intestate process. None of that money is ending up in the general fund at the Commonwealth. So, it's all going to really great stuff. So I don't think you can complain about that aspect of it.
And that's the side of it where, again, going back to your previous comment about maybe somebody who calls you up now and saying, here, we've got some money, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
You just talked about a family who spent 10 years kind of planning everything out and doing exactly what they want to do, as opposed to somebody who's calling you up and saying, hey, we only have a couple weeks.
And again, I had a friend call up this week, or last week rather, to create a donor advised fund. A donor advised fund is a great way to give when you're still alive and you want to support certain organizations, and maybe you have a taxable event. Especially with the proposed tax changes for next year, it's going to make a lot of sense to have a donor advised fund, because you make one large gift to the foundation and you get one large charitable deduction. And so if you're itemizing, you can take that charitable deduction this year. In some cases, you can spread that over several years. A lot of us, because of the way the itemized deductions work, is that the limit's really higher. So from a donor advised fund, you can take your time giving out the money. We'll hold on to it. We'll invest it. And every year for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we can give out little chunks of it to the organizations that you prefer. And so there's no real impetus to like rush with your giving. And if you're used to giving like $500 to an organization every year, it's a great way to do that and achieve like your maximum tax benefits. So that's the kind of thing to talk to us about, talk to your financial advisor about, and talk to your accountant about. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is kind of where the stress comes in, right?
Well, there's 18 days left. Is this 31 in December? So there's 18 days left in the month. But a donor advised fund's really easy. We have a simple agreement for it. Most of the ones we manage are not endowed, so you can spend those dollars down to zero if you really want to. We have a really quick and efficient process for making grants from those funds, and you can just about any 501c3 nonprofit organization, be they here in Crawford County or in California or Oregon or wherever your organization might be. If it's an organization that's doing work internationally, like Doctors Without Borders, you can support them as they have a U.S. 501c3. International grant making is a little more challenging, but we can probably do it.
Okay. And again, it's really a phone call.
Right. It's just to ask. I mean, I had to say no to somebody yesterday, which I hate. And I had to say, no, I can't take your money. Ooh. It's a nonprofit, but they're not a 501c3 nonprofit, and they do some charitable things, but they don't do all charitable things. So it was a weird situation. I had to dive deep into the Internal Revenue Code. If you've ever had to do that, don't recommend it. Not fun.
So vacation for you starts at 5 o'clock.
Well, in the Jimmy Buffett style of like it's 5 o'clock somewhere, maybe.
Okay,
that might be my vacation.
Can people drop off Christmas cookies to you over the next couple days?
They can,
okay.
Yes, and people have been known to do that. My friend Charlotte Thomas, who I will give a shout out to, for the past several years has brought me cookies before Christmas. And so that is something I will never turn down.
Okay. So let's kind of get into 2024.
Yeah.
How would you describe it? What are some things that stood out to you?
So a lot of it for us was just, the plans coming to fruition and things like that. And people who had included us in their wills and estate, and even some surprises in there. We're waiting on a bequest from another estate that just fell into our lap, which happens about once every 5 years. And I don't know why people necessarily want to keep those things secret.
Oh, like surprise,
okay. Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, so and so died. By the way, you're going to get this $1 million. And it's like, oh, okay. And I don't dislike surprises like that. That's a good thing to come into. When a lawyer sends you a document and is like, here, you're going to get this really big chunk of money. It's like, oh, well, that makes what we do worthwhile because that money is going to support some really great stuff. And I'll talk to you about it next month because it'll be
cool,
new and interesting. But I'm also, I was sitting up late at night the other day, and I'm like, we need to get people to tell us when they're going to do these things. How do we do that? Do I need to send a mailer to everybody and say, hey, if you've got a plan and you haven't told us, would you please do that? Because we love surprises, but not that one. So
just a little heads up.
Just a little
Thank you for thinking of us.
Right, and you don't have to go into great detail. You don't have to tell us numbers, but at least let us know that, like, hey, something's coming.
That's interesting. So do you find that sometimes people are afraid because they're not quite sure what it is they're going to be leaving you, or?
I think part of it is probably, if I were in their shoes, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to tell this guy, and then he's going to be at my doorstep.
Okay.
Then he's going to be bothering me, and then he's going to be like, hey, can you do this other thing? And really, that's not how it works for us. You tell us, we put it in the file. We reach out just every year to say, hey, is this still working for you? Maybe every 2 years. Like, we're not that organized. Like, we're not going to be beating down your door. We've got other fish to fry. But just to make sure that, you know that we care about you, that your plan is important to us, all that kind of thing. But we're not going to ask, like, oh, while you're at it, could you also give, like, this to this? Or we really don't do that kind of thing. And if you said, hey, like, we're going to do this, that's all we want to do, trust that it's going to go on. If we change our mind, we'll let you know. Perfect. Like, that's really how it comes down for us. Like, we don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to be an irritant. We just want to be a good partner. And we want to know that and we want to be able to show our appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Really,
Yeah.
like, just if you can let us know, great.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Another thing throughout the year, scholarships to Crawford Gives. There's just a lot, really, that goes on in a year.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of our work is trying to, promote philanthropy, promote people making an impact with the organizations that they care most about. Crawford Gives is about making an impact just right here in Crawford County. And of course, people have interests elsewhere with your St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, your American Red Cross, your American Cancer Societies, all of those national organizations too. So it's just helping people, like, prioritize which things are most important to them, and how do you effectively give that maximizes your tax situation and all of those kind of things. So we're also this week we're accepting gifts of stock, which are a little cumbersome. We're happy to do them because it usually gives the donor a much better tax treatment. One of the gifts we got, I think somebody had bought NVIDIA when it was like $4 a share, $5 a share, something like that. And now it's ridiculous. So the amount of tax savings that they're going to have on this gift, as opposed to if they had just sold it and given us cash, is probably more than equal to the amount of the gift itself. So, there's all sorts of strategies that people can do to really effectively give that don't always come top of mind.
So at what point do you come into the conversation? Is this an initial conversation? People come to you first and you present these ideas? Should they be talking to their tax advisors?
It depends. Like, we've got, like, the donor who gave the NVIDIA stock, like, they are so savvy. Like, they're like, nope, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'll double check with my attorney and my accountant, but I think that's the thing. That's the one, because it's increased in value so much.
Yeah.
That if I give it to you and you take the gift and sell it, it'll be much better for me. And then we've got people who will come in and be like, oh, should I just write you a check? I'm like, well, have you talked to your accountant? Have you talked to your financial advisor about it? Because you probably have something, whether it's an IRA or whether it's some stock that you've purchased, that are a better strategy. So it just depends, like, on the person. And we had a donor whose husband used to take care of all that kind of stuff, who was in not long ago. And so, like, I'm like, well, like, you should go to talk to the accountant first before we pull a trigger on where the dollars have got to come from, because there's probably a way to make this much more advantageous to you. And so those are the things we don't want people to forget about. That's why we're there. We can call the financial advisor if people want us to do that and interface with them with their permission, of course. So whatever we can do to make things work, we're there
Make
for
it
you.
work, yeah. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream TV and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Christian Maher with us here this morning from the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. What excites you about 2025? Is it the things that you know that are coming up? Is it some of the unknowns? Is it just every day is different?
So, I mean, the foundation's been around since 1998. So that's what, 26 years?
Crazy, isn't it?
It really is. So, I mean, we're constantly in like this maturing process and this process of, trying to find optimal staffing and how do we provide the best donor experience and, still get all the work done in the office. And it's such a balancing act. So, we're trying to like make sure that we're doing the right things for our donors. Make sure that, when people call that somebody answers the phone and that they get a quick response and that we're communicating appropriately to people and telling them like, hey, these are all the things that you can do through us. So, it's just a challenge to try and find the right staffing mix and, what do we want to be when we grow up now that we're kind of grown up? Because like for the longest time, we just kind of like operated on a shoestring. Like I would worry about how many paper clips can we buy? And now it's like, oh, okay, we don't have to worry about that so much. Things are, we've had a lot of generous donors. We bought a building in December of last year that we've been slowly renovating. And, we've got just a nice cushion to get us through. Again, through the generosity of a lot of people. And so, now we can focus on some things looking kind of at the long term is like, how do we do this thing and make it work most efficiently?
What are some highlights coming up in the new year? Kind of snapshots of, the beginning of the year. This is something to be looking out for,
So first quarter, one of the things that we're going to be doing is we try to do some educational programming for nonprofit organizations, for people who are on boards of directors. We find that there are a lot of people who get involved in a board and they're like, hey, I really want to be involved in this thing. And then they get on there and they're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think this year, or next year rather, our focus is going to be on fundraising and how do you do that most effectively? How can you engage your boards? And really just like the basics, like what are the kinds of things you can do to make that a worthwhile process, and kind of demystify it, take away the fear of it, because I've been a fundraiser for decades now, and if it were the kind of job that required me to be really smart, I wouldn't be here. Like it's just the kind of thing that you have to be consistent about. You have to be thoughtful at the outset and just kind of stick to a plan and do it. And people get really scared about like, oh, I've got to ask my friend for money. I'm like, it's really not that hard. It shouldn't be scary. We should take the fear out of it because you're being a good steward of the organization. You're doing things to promote it. And if you didn't care about the organization, you wouldn't ask somebody to invest in it.
All right.
So that's going to be one of the first quarter things is probably a seminar or a series on fundraising. So that's what we're thinking. We'll be doing Crawford Gives again in August. I think we're going to make it a little earlier in August. I know I have dates selected. Can I remember them off the top of my head? No. But I think we're going to do it before the fair. I think that's what we decided. And that should make everybody's life a little easier, I'm hoping, because we tend to do it like during the first week of school. And we've gotten some feedback because we want to know what people think. And they're like, yeah, this might not be the best timing. So we'll see.
But it's been very successful.
It's been successful, but it could be maybe more successful if we didn't do it in one of the busier times of the year. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's always challenging. Even people planning events.
Well, and people are going to and people are going to complain no matter what.
Right.
So,
and you have so many people involved, either on the giving side or participating. That you're going to have a million answers.
Yeah.
But hopefully this year you'll hit the $1 million mark.
That'd be nice.
You got close.
We're so close. Yeah, and I think that's going to be our big push is trying to get a lot more organizations and a lot more companies to be like corporate sponsors and to do some of the underwriting and to give us money for prizes, not money that we're going to hold on to, but money that we're going to use to incentivize every organization in the county to be more effective fundraisers. So,
well, again,
so watch out.
That's another thing you got to be prepared for as an organization. If you haven't taken part, you can't call the day before it kicks off and say, hey, how do we get involved?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start that early. All right, before wrapping up, what do you do to relax and unwind this time of year? What's your go-to Christmas movie song? I know I ask every year, but
So, a friend's an audio engineer, and they were like, hey, if you want to come in and record a song, our friend Joe Thompson just worked with this person, Jeff, to record an album. And I'm like, I always wanted to record a Christmas song. And I'm like, which Christmas song should I do? So, I haven't decided to do this.
You haven't done this.
This is my dream. I need a band is really what I need to back me up, and I don't have that. But you ever listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
yeah.
Prog rock. Greg Lake from Emerson, Lake and Palmer did "I Believe in Father Christmas," which I think is a great song, and I've been singing it in karaoke versions all week. It's a little cynical, but it's definitely my mood for this Christmas.
All right.
So that's it.
Go to Christmas movie?
Oh man, that's a tough one. So I don't know.
All right, I'll ask you this.
That one's hard.
If you could ask Santa for one thing.
No, I'll say Christmas movie this year is Gremlins.
All right. Good choice.
Non-traditional choice.
Good choice, though. All right, and if you could ask Santa for one thing to bring to Crawford County in the new year, what would it be?
Rest and relaxation, but that's more a personal want.
Christian, it is great to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
Thanks for being with us this year. All the best to you. Happy holidays.
It's a pleasure. To you too.
Distant choir